What's happening? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome. So good to see you. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And let me tell you what, we got a good conversation tonight because Mr. Deion Sanders made some comments that were really sort of on the edge of controversy, probably got him in a little bit of trouble. But then again, though, there is a lot to unpack with these comments, and I think that they're worth discussing. In fact, a lot of you might actually agree with some of what he said. So I figured that this was a great opportunity for us to kind of unpack it and break it down a little bit. And as you come into the chat, make sure you shout out the city. Let me know what city you're from. Also, let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm actually traveling right now, so I want to make sure I'm coming through all right. I have a different microphone, and so get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com in 1 second. Sorry, that's an image up there. So take care. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Here we are, clearing the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I just got off an airplane, and that's why I'm I was a little bit frazzled trying to figure out where everything was. But anyway, I hope you guys can hear me okay. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Also, shout out your city. I see Carolyn Jenkins from Emporia, Virginia. Let's see, Monica from Lancaster, California. I'm coming out to California. March 10th is the Black Wealth Boot Camp. If you want to come out for 2 days, we're going to do intense deep dive Black wealth trainings that will put your family ahead of the curve. If you would like to come and hang out with me, I will use every ounce of my PhD to make sure that you and your family are on top of everything you need to know economically. You can even bring your kids. So feel free to join us in Los Angeles on March 10th for the Black Wealth Boot Camp, boycewatkins.com, so you can get more information. Hey, Sharif out of Atlanta, and Brad out of Las Vegas, and Jocasta out of Las Vegas, and Alan Benson out of Louisville, Kentucky. All right, so let's talk about the topic for today. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, we discussed Deion quite a bit when Deion made that move from Jackson State to Colorado. That was a move I did not agree with. I'm going to have to be honest with you. I really I thought Deion was that dude. I thought he was the guy that could actually build something as opposed to going to Colorado. I think he's super talented. I think he's amazing. I think that he's a great attraction for any brand. His brand is worth millions, tens of millions of dollars. And I would love to have seen that go into a Black institution. But then again, I don't know his situation at Jackson State. I don't know his financial situation. Maybe he needed the money. He said money wasn't a thing, but I think money might be a thing if you're moving for money. So I think he probably, it's probably like, okay, I'm gonna go hang out with some white people in order to make money, and I respect it. I mean, a lot of people would have taken that same job, so I can't even knock it. I will say though that that as you watch him ascend at Colorado, as you watch him show his magic at Colorado, as you see Colorado reaping the benefits of having one of the greatest, most talented Black athletes of all time on their campus, just know that those benefits are going to Colorado. Just know that he is building Colorado. He's building the University of Colorado. And I don't know. My question would be, in 100 years, is your name going to be on the building? Is there going to be something? Is there going to be a monument for you? Is there going to be something there to thank you and your family for everything that you gave that institution, when maybe you could have built your own institution? Maybe you could have, helped start a sports league or something, right? The founders of the NFL, everybody remembers their names. Not many people remember the employees of the NFL, except for maybe a few exceptional employees. And that's just a way I want you to kind of understand this in terms of why I had hesitancy in terms of really being happy about this move, because it happens all the time. White people have always been in possession of the greatest Black talent. White people have been the greatest beneficiaries of Black talent. White people own hip hop, and y'all was the one out there rapping. Y'all was the one out there breakdancing. Y'all are the ones out there holding the parties and coming up with the culture but they're the ones who profit from the culture. And this is a mindset. This is something that we have to talk about as Black people. Even if you agree or disagree, you got to understand both perspectives. This is my thing. I know wealth, and I can see where wealth goes and why the Black community's wealth is going down. Very important to understand. All right, so let's move on from that though, and I'm actually talking about something where I kind of get what Deion's saying here, and I hope I don't piss too many people off by sharing my perspective on this. But I'm gonna just be honest. Y'all know that I'm gonna be 100% honest in terms of my perspective on this. So Deion made a comment in which he basically said that when he talked about his criteria for recruiting athletes, he would look for athletes that come from a two-parent home. And you know, and I'm gonna tell you, it was one of those things where he was basically arguing that an athlete from a two-parent home has the ability to is more likely to have the ability to lead men. They're more likely to not get in trouble off the field. They're more likely to make good decisions in life. In fact, I'm gonna read some of his comments to you, and then I'm gonna ask you a series of questions. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified if you like intelligent Black conversations. So here's what he says. He said that let's see, he was on some show, Rich Eisen, during the Super Bowl week. I don't know who Rich Eisen is, but apparently he's a big deal in the world of white people. And he says, we want a mother, father, dual parents, Sanders said. We want that kid to be 3.5 GPA and up because he's got to be smart. Okay, not much wrong with the GPA part, but the dual parents part is the part that has caused some controversy. It says he can't make bad decisions off the field at all because he has to be a leader of men. There are so many different attributes and what we look for when we see a quarterback, and we would love a coach's son. So basically, he said that he wants the kids to come from a dual parent home. He would like for his quarterbacks to have a strong father. And here's the thing. When you talk about this, it's a divisive comment to some extent, right? Because you got a lot of people that came from single parent homes and it wasn't their fault, right? And there's a lot of hurt that goes out from that. And also, my buddy Etan Thomas, who played in the NBA, who's an upstanding guy, he grew up in a single parent home. And one of the things that Etan has always made a point of sharing as he's written books about fatherhood and the importance of fatherhood. And he's a great father to his son, who's also a great athlete. His children are all great athletes. He's basically said that you shouldn't just write off kids that come from single parent homes as if they can't be successful too. In fact, how many of you had a daddy or mother that ran off when you were a child? Everybody, I'm gonna raise my hand first because my daddy was not there when I was born. My daddy was 15 years old when he got my mama pregnant. You ain't got no business having sex when you're 15, but hey, if you ain't got no parental supervision, things happen. So how many of you had a parent that just, for whatever reason, no fault of your own, just wasn't there? I'll wait while you answer that question. And so the reason I want to ask you that is because I think it's very important that no matter what your position is, we understand that this is a very nuanced conversation. This is not a conversation that you can have and just throw everybody in one bucket or another. This is the kind of conversation you have to have where you are actually sort of considering all the variables and all the factors and really walking away, not necessarily with a yes or no answer or a right or wrong answer, but really kind of just understanding when you have an advantage and when you have a deficit. Now, first thing I'm going to ask y'all is this. I'm going to ask y'all a yes or no question. Y'all know me. I like to do things logically. I'm a mathematician. That's my background. Before I got my PhD in finance, I taught mathematics at the University of Kentucky. So I think like a mathematician. So what I'm going to do is ask you a simple yes or no question. Yes or no? Do you think that a child who has both parents in the house, as long as both parents ain't crazy or smoking crack or trying to kill each other? I'm not talking about things like infidelity and all that. Those are grown folks' problems. Kids don't even usually care or pay attention one way or the other. I'm talking about just, two relatively healthy parents, normal, hardworking people. Do you think that the child is better off having two parents or just one? Give me a yes or no. What do you think? Do you think that it makes no difference at all? Or do you think that it makes a difference? Can we agree that having two parents is better than having one parent? Can we at least agree with that? Because this is an important point, because a lot of people have you out here believing that they're the same. A lot of people have you out here believing that not having a daddy is the same as having a daddy. And as a daddy, that offends me. Well, why would that offend you, Boyce? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, what if we said that about the mother? What if we said, if you got a mama, that's no different from not having a mother. Imagine what kind of person would you be if you had been raised without your mother? Would you be the same person? Or is it like mama doesn't matter? Like mama, what if you saw your mama once a month? What if they said, oh, she's a good mama. She takes care of her kids. She sees her kids on the weekends, right? Would you feel like you had the same privilege growing up that you have now? Like, give me a yes or no. What do you think? Do you think that not that having your mama come see you on the weekends and paying child support and maybe taking you to Disneyland once a year, do you think that would have been the same as having a mother who's there with you every single day, waking you up every morning and grabbing you by your nappy head and pulling you out of the bed and making sure that you get to school on time and feeding you and clothing you and taking care of you and hugging you and loving you and talking to you through all your problems and being there for every single situation and going to the school every time you got sick? Do you think that having a mother on the weekends will be the same as having a mother who is on her damn job? What do y'all think? I'll wait. What do y'all think? Do you think it matters? So here's what I want to start with. I'm going to say this. I told y'all I didn't agree with Prime's decision to go to Colorado. I think he's a tremendous asset. I wish he had stayed with a black institution because we need great men like him to stay with the community, but whatever, that's his business. In this case, I agree with him. I hear everything he's saying. I hear everything that he's saying. If you cannot tell me that not having a mother is if you're going to tell me that having a mother makes a difference for a child versus not having a mother, then you must agree that having a father makes a difference versus not having a father. If you think that fathers don't matter, then you are delusional. You're delusional. I see how my girls interact with their mother. They follow her around. They learn from her constantly. She's constantly there, constantly coaching and correcting and telling them sit up straight, pull your dress down, get up for school. They're watching her do therapy work in her office every day. So now one of them wants to be a therapist like her mama because she's seeing it on a daily basis. Like, you can't tell me that does not matter. You can't tell me that household would be the same if I was the mommy and the daddy giving myself Mother's Day cards and all this other stuff. You can't tell me that household would be the same if my wife was not in that household. So how dare you tell me that black fathers don't matter? That, oh, well, that's not a big deal. That's like breaking a toenail. It's you ain't got a daddy, you lose your daddy. Who cares? It ain't no big deal. He gonna be all right. He just as good as it's uppity. You uppity if you judging kids or you think kids are better off with two parents. No, that's not true. That's not true. And there's statistics out there that show that what they did to your families as black people was devastating. They destroyed your family because they know how important the family is to holding a community together. Now you've got a community so broken and busted and disgusted that you're dependent on corporate America to take care of you. You're dependent on the government to take care of you. You're dependent on what white people think about you. You don't have any independence because you don't have your family structure. So I think that what Deion said makes sense. I don't know. Give me a yes or no if you think that what Deion said is kind of on point. I'm but here's the thing, right? Here's the problem that Deion has. Actually, before I say that, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Those of you that have an interest in black wealth, particularly from a family or group perspective, I'm going to be in Los Angeles doing a Black Wealth Boot Camp on March 10th. So if you'd like to join us, just go to boycewatkins.com, look for the Black Wealth Boot Camp schedule, and you can join us in Los Angeles and meet us on March 10th. I'd love to see you and hang out with you. We'll be there for 2 days, and we'll be doing deep dives on my new book. My new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. Also on my website, there's a lecture that many of you loved called How to Make Money Without Working. That's basically about selling stock options. In case you've ever been interested, I'm really good at that type of stuff. So I'd love to show you this type of thing. All right, so here's where Deion is kind of caught a little bit, though. He's kind of, some people are saying, legitimately so, that he might be a little bit of a hypocrite. Let me ask y'all a question. Has Deion Sanders ever been married? Do y'all know if he's ever been married? What do y'all think? Has Deion ever been married? And then after you tell me if he's been married, Was he happily married? Like, did he stay married like 30 years? Like, is he in like celebrating his 28th wedding anniversary with his first wife that he married, like fresh out of Florida State? Like, what do y'all think? Like, what do you think? What do you think? What do y'all think? Yeah, yeah, Dion. Dion's been married a few times. Let me see. I'm gonna Google it. How many times has Deion Sanders been married? Okay, it looks like he's been married twice. He was married to Pilar from 1999 to 2013. He was also married to a lady named Carolyn Chambers from 1989 to 1998. So he tried. He tried. I mean, right after he got his divorce from Carolyn in 98, he married Pilar in 99. And I remember that marriage with Pilar. That was kind of crazy. I think that got real ridiculous, and they ended up in court. They were fighting publicly and all that stuff. So here's the problem with Dion's criteria and why he may want to rethink that if that's exactly how he processes things. Remember, if you're talking about kids not growing up in a two-parent household, well, you're talking about your own kids. And many of you know that Dion's son, it's not Shiloh. Shiloh's the defensive back. There's the other one. I forgot his name. Y'all got to remind me of his name. But he's a very good quarterback. I should know his name. Jeff Lightsey Jr. from Ball Sports was talking about him and telling me how good. Shador, that's his name. Shador Sanders, great athlete like his daddy. And even his son that doesn't play football is contributing. His daughter is very smart. I mean, just a great family. I love that family. And one of the things that is interesting is that his son Shador would be considered to be a bad recruit because he doesn't have a two-parent household, right? So I think that is reason enough to help us understand that things are not always as black and white as we want them to be. It's not one of those things where you say, okay, if you don't have both parents, you're fried, you're done. No, it's like me saying to you, okay, you're missing your left pinky. You probably will have a hard time playing basketball and playing the piano because you don't have a pinky, right? But have there been people that play basketball without their pinky? Absolutely. There's a guy that's killing it that's got one arm. There's literally a one-arm basketball player out there just killing it. But that does not mean that having no arm doesn't make a difference. It doesn't mean that missing your arms is going to make you the same as a guy that has two arms. That's just simply not true. So two parents, we know, generally speaking, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, is better than having one, right? Of course, you got exceptions. You got the exceptions where your parents are mass murderers who smoke crack on the weekends. That's fine. But ultimately, when you're talking about kids and how they evolve and how they're trained, a boy that is trained by his mother is typically going to end up differently in terms of mindset than a boy who is trained by his mother and his father. In fact, I had a talk with one of my friends who is, in her 40s. She's on the dating scene. And I said, you may have to have your son move out of the house. She said, yeah, he is going to move out of the house because we both agreed that it's time to part ways. I said, yeah. I said, if you start dating a man and he moves in the house and you got a 25-year-old grown ass man and already in the house with you, then that's going to give the appearance that you kind of already have a husband. You already have a man of the house. And so sometimes that balance is not there. When I was 25, I couldn't live in the house. My father said there's only room for one rooster in this hen house and you got to go. So at 18, I had to leave and then I would come back and visit, but I had to find my own space in my own territory. I don't know if it would have been the same if my father had not been present ever in my life. I think my mother would have leaned on me in a different kind of way. So one of the things that I'm going to share with you is there are some statistics that I want to share with you about the impact of single parent households. This first stat is from the National Center of Fathering. They said that children from single parent households are twice as likely to drop out of high school than those from two parent households. Number two, children with single parents are more likely to experience emotional and behavioral problems. This is according to the Journal of Marriage and Family. Here's another stat. Single parent households are more likely to experience poverty and financial hardship. This is according to the National Center for Children in Poverty. And I've told you all that if you don't think about how your family planning has been laid out and you try to talk about building wealth, but yet you out here sticking your penis in any woman that walks by or letting any old dusty old man lay in your bed with you, well, it's going to be hard for you to build wealth because it's very hard to build wealth as a baby's mama. It just is. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's just hard because it's hard to be a good mother and a full-time employee at the same time, hardworking, like extra hours, double shifts, all that. I mean, people do it, But then next thing you know, your child then went out and got locked up or something because you weren't there. You weren't watching it when your daughter got pregnant because she snuck her boyfriend in while you were at work all night. Right? Seriously. Or same thing, if you're out here and you've got a bunch of babies, mamas, and all that, it's going to be hard for you to build wealth because every time your income goes up, you're going to get taxed more. You're going to get that penis tax. That penis tax is where the babies, mamas all show up and start filing suits to get more money from you because they find out that you're making more money. And then when you settle down and you say, I don't want to be a player no more, and you decide to pick one woman and settle down, well, guess what? You got this string of choices behind you that's always going to be there picking off your family's table, picking bread off your family's table. It's hard enough to get by in this country without 80 pounds of excess baggage. It's as hard as hell. I mean, inflation is out of control. Rent is going way up. Housing prices are insane. The workers' wages are not going up. They're actually going down in real terms. Why in the hell are you going to mess it up by being sloppy with your reproductive process? Can't you find a way to enjoy the pleasure of lovemaking without having to spill your seed into everything that walks by? Like, you are ruining your entire life. I wish every young person on earth could hear this, but unfortunately, people don't listen. I mean, I'm not lit like a rapper, so it don't sound as good coming from a 51-year-old man who's trying to encourage you to make good decisions. You'd rather hear from somebody who encourages you to be a black victim of your own choices. So ultimately, I'm going to say I like what Deion had to say. I have no big problem with the advocacy of two-parent households. I think that as black people, we have to understand that. I read an article by a guy in USA Today who was really mad. It was a black dude. Of course, they get a black person that's going to always represent liberals and Democrats and all that because they got us trained to believe that that's who we're supposed to be. But I don't believe any of that. You're not a born Marxist. You're African American. Be black, damn it. Stop trying to copy off of whatever crap they shoved into your ear. Grow up. Learn how to think for yourself. So anyway, this guy's outraged. He was so mad. He's like, what Deion said was stupid and blah blah blah. And of course, the white people that run USA Today gave him a big platform to go off on another black man. And of course, they made sure that the writer was black because they needed it to be a black on black situation. They were like, oh, well, if we write what we think, then that's going to seem racist. So we're going to get a black man to attack the black man. That's what they do. They do it all the time. It's a common tactic. They've been doing it since the plantation. So this guy was like so angry and offended that Deion said it, and that was just ignorant and stupid. Well, that tells me how ignorant and stupid you are because you did not take 1 second to even consider why what he said might actually make a little bit of sense. You didn't take 1 second to consider why a father's presence makes a difference. You didn't even think about the Super Bowl. Do y'all know? Tell me this. Give me a yes or no. Did any of y'all know this? Who were the number one role models and mentors of the two quarterbacks who played in the Super Bowl just now? Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, two of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL, both were on display in front of the world in the Super Bowl. Who were their number one mentors? Their number one mentors were their fathers. Their fathers. So don't try to tell me that if they had been trained to play football by their mama, that they would have been just as good as they are now. I don't think that that's true. I just don't believe that. I'm sorry. No disrespect, not to say women can't do amazing things like throw footballs, 50, 80 yards down the field or whatever. But I think that it helped that Patrick Mahomes' father, I believe he played for the Mets or something. I think that it helps that Jalen Hurts' father was an athlete. I think that makes a difference, right? So at the end of the day, when Deion steps up and says, I recruit athletes that are from two-parent households. I like my quarterbacks to come from a two-parent home so they make good decisions on and off the field. That makes perfect sense because young people who make good choices tend to have good mentorship. So y'all don't understand. This is one thing that you're missing. When you don't have the fathers, what happens is the father is the OG. The father is the one who gets the young buck in adolescence when he wants to do something wild and crazy. The father is the one who brings the wisdom and says, whoa, you got to stop that. Don't do that. That's going to get you in trouble. The mother just sounds like she's yapping in your ear. You're taller than her. You're bigger than her. A lot of men have a hard time respecting somebody who can't whoop their ass, who's not big enough and tall enough and strong enough, or who has some type of power. They don't look at their mother in the same way. Right? What worked when he was 6 does not work when he's 16. It's just a reality of life. This is not just true for humans. This is true for all animals throughout the animal kingdom, pretty much. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Most mammals, bears, elephants, tigers, baboons, rhinoceroses, the adolescent males follow the adult males. The adult males hold rank and hold power. That's why it was so important for them during the crack era. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. That's why it was so important during the crack era. And Joe Biden's mass incarceration extermination plan for them to eliminate the fathers from the family, because when you take out the daddies, there is no defense. Even the Chicago gangs are chaotic right now because the gang leaders all went to prison. The ones that could have calmed down the violence, the one to say, okay, don't shoot up Miss Miller's block while she's coming home with her groceries. Like the OGs are gone. So now you got a bunch of young guys running around, AK-47s and whatnot, because they mamas are at home and there's nobody guiding them. So what Deion is saying makes perfect sense to most of us as men. And it makes sense to a lot of women who are intelligent enough to respect what men bring to the table. Again, I'm talking about equality here. How in the hell are you going to tell me that fathers don't matter, but you know mothers matter? You know that if I took a mother out of a child's life, it will be devastating for that child. That is not going to be the same person. So if you know that a mother matters that much, then why is it so hard for you to believe that a father doesn't matter just as much? Well, because you've been trained to think that way. You've been trained to look at the black community as blind, deaf, dumb, crazy, and backward. And you're used to us having every dysfunction in the damn book, from kids in the 8th grade reading like they're in the 3rd grade, but yet you want to send your kids to those same schools where the kids in the 8th grade can't even read better than the 3rd grader. The food that you eat from the fast food restaurants that they market to you like crazy is making you fat and sick and diabetes. And let's not even talk about what might be going on with them jabs that they're giving people. That's a whole nother conversation, right? Or you're the first ones in line to do every single thing necessary to ruin your life. And then the reason you do it is because you're trained to put yourself in the victim box so that you can fit in with all the other victims. So you can walk around and say, man, it's so hard being black. Being black, that's racism. We can't do nothing. White people, they just won't let us do nothing. Well, I'm like, well, are your kids reading? Like, are you making sure your children are reading at grade level? Are you taking them to tutoring programs? Are you taking them to football camp? Are you investing and saving your money whenever you can? Or are you just tricking your money off at the club? Like, really, I don't know. I'm just asking. I think those are, we need the jabs first because we're the ones who are most likely to have diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure. Well, are you trying to eat better, or are you eating shit in a napkin that they sell you at any fast food restaurant in your hood? Like, it's the Popeyes chicken and no exercise that's going to probably make sure that you're dead before you're 45 or 50. So ultimately, making healthy choices and good choices is something that, that only some people are really going to understand. You're really talking about a culture of victimhood here. And so what's interesting here, here's what's also interesting. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, by the way, in case you just came in. And I hope that you will join the channel and be prepared to have your thinking challenged, because I believe that you're smart. I believe that you're intelligent. I believe that you deserve to not feel like anybody is talking over you or under you. I talk to you. And if there's a word that I use that doesn't make sense to you, well, guess what? We can Google it and look it up, and we can figure out what the word is. My goal is to elevate your thinking. I'm not going to talk down to you. So I apologize if anybody's offended by the fact that I talk to Black people like we're smart. I believe that we are. And if you're not smart, you should want to be smart. And my website is boycewatkins.com, by the way, if you'd like to see some of the stuff there, like my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, stuff like that. All right. So here's a couple more stats about single parenthood. And Deion Sanders got in trouble because he said that he likes to recruit athletes, quarterbacks especially, from dual parent households, because he said that you have to make good decisions. You have to be a leader of men. And he was basically thinking about some of these stats. We mentioned earlier that children from single parent households are twice as likely to drop out of high school. They are more likely to experience emotional and behavioral problems. Children from single parent households are more likely to experience poverty and financial hardship. Children, according to the National Center for Fathering, children from single parent households are more likely to have poorer academic performance. And then also from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, they said children of single parent households are more likely to engage in risky behaviors such as alcohol and drug abuse. Now, here's what I want to make clear. I am not on any level vilifying you if your child is being raised in a single parent household. So I want to make that 100% clear, because I can't do that. I can't vilify you, because this is just the case for so many of our families, and every situation is different. Sometimes it happens with no fault of your own. You thought the relationship was going to last and it didn't work out, or the person just didn't want to be with you. For example, I have a lot of people that think I had a daughter when I was 18. They think I just walked away and abandoned my daughter. No, I loved her mother. I would have married her mother. If her mother had wanted to marry me, then there wouldn't be a Dr. Alicia as my wife. I'd be married to her mother. But things happen, right? Things occur, and you can't change that. But one thing I'll say is that Deion making this point is it's interesting. He made this point, and you're not really hearing a lot of response from the media from this, because the media is very selective in terms of the things they get outraged by. Think about this. So Deion says that I prefer parents to recruit quarterbacks who come from two-parent households, right? Because they make better decisions, all that. I want to ask you this question. What do you think would have happened if Deion had said that and he were white? Like, what if he were a white guy and he said, and I think he also said that something about kids from single parent homes have a harder time being leaders of men and stuff like that. Like, what if he were white? And so what's interesting is if he were white, he'd probably be accused of racism. They'd probably say, "Oh, that's racist. That's racist for you to say that." And so, it's interesting. I don't really know exactly what to make of that one way or the other, but I can say that the message isn't typically as important as the messenger, right? So it's not just what's being said; it's who's saying it. And so Farrakhan can say things that a lot of other people can't say, and get this, get a different reaction. And so I would say that if Deion were white, I don't even know if it would be even his right to really comment on the state of the black family in America. I do think that that's more of a black thing. I think that's more of an internal conversation that we need to have with each other. But I do wonder if he were Nick Saban and he said the same thing, like what would happen? What would the and I think that you're right. I think Dr. Conrad Bingham, I see you in there. He said, I agree. He says, if he were white, he might not have said it. And that's what I'm thinking. And that's what's interesting, right? It's almost like the way certain white people look at us. It's like especially liberals are really bad about this. It's like they look at us like the disabled kids in the room, the kids with a disability. Like, we can't comment on, for example, they can't comment on basic things like the fact that we call each other the N-word all the time in our music. And we celebrate music where we call ourselves the N-word, but then we go ballistic and go crazy when a white person recites the lyrics from a song that we were just dancing to. I don't know. I have no idea how that makes sense to people. Please make it make sense. Make it make sense. Your favorite rapper gets in front of a crowd full of white people, called you this terrible name in the book, talks about killing black people like it's a sport, and the white people are cheering when he says, kill that N-word, and you're okay with that. But then when a white person says something or does something, you just go crazy, you go ballistic. And then here's the other thing that's really interesting. If it's a white liberal who says it or does it, you give a different reaction than if it's a white conservative. Right. I use even a jerk like Donald Trump as an example. Do you know how many black people loved and looked up to Donald Trump before he got into politics, before he became a Republican? So many. I mean, almost every single black critic of Trump, from Diddy to Sharpton, all them, they were taking pictures with this guy just a few years ago. They literally loved him. And then when he became a Republican, it's like, oh, he's terrible. He's terrible. But if he become a Democrat, they'd be like, oh, my God, he's great. He's great. Like, that's what they do. That's what they do. And I just see people for what they are. I look at Joe Biden, I say, no, he's a bigot, whether he's a Democrat or Republican. This man incarcerated more black people than any president in American history. You still got guys, thousands of black people still in prison from Biden's Holocaust. And you up here acting like he's supposed to be my buddy. What kind of sucker do you think I am? What kind of a punk do you have to be to sit here and forgive somebody when they still got their foot on your neck? And the grave from the black people that went through the Biden Holocaust of the 3 strikes laws, that's what I'm talking about. That grave is still wet. It's barely, the ground is still wet on that grave. And you up here already forgiving and forgetting like it didn't even happen. That tells me that there's a self-esteem issue. There's a significant self-esteem issue, because if your self-esteem was high, you would expect the most from yourself. When your self-esteem is high, you don't promote and celebrate ignorance. You want to be intelligent. When your self-esteem is high, you don't clap when you go broke and throw all your money away. You preserve your wealth. When your self-esteem is high, you don't go around splattering your seed everywhere and making babies mamas and creating family chaos and harming your children. No, you create a family structure that indicates and communicates the pride that you have in yourself. So the way you carry yourself is a reflection of what you think about yourself. So when I sit here and I say things like this platform is for intelligent black people, and I got to deal with Negroes who say, oh, you're uppity, you're being a snob because you're saying this is for intelligent black people. I don't understand that language. I don't understand people who think that way. So this is where me and Coach Prime are on the exact same side. You know what? Like I said, when Coach Prime went to Colorado, I didn't understand that decision. I'm like, you're a great man. We could make Jackson State great together. You worth a billion to Colorado. You're gonna be worth $1 billion to HBCU. Make them come to you. That's what I would have said to him if I was his friend. So I didn't agree with the move to Colorado. I thought he sold himself short, to be honest with you. However, on this topic about fatherhood, are we on the same page exactly and completely? But maybe that's because I was privileged enough to have a father, a good father, who replaced my bad father. If I'd never had the good father to replace the bad father, maybe I too would be a person who gets upset when people say that children need a father. Maybe because I wouldn't understand. Now, all these things that my father did to make differences in my life never would have occurred because, I wouldn't know any different, right? So I'm not here again. I don't want anybody to feel bad. If you are from a single parent household or if you have a single parent household, I understand you're doing the best you can with what you got. If you are a mother raising a son, get your son in front of strong, positive role models consistently as much as possible. I'm talking about all the time, not just once a month, not just once a week. I'm talking about every day if possible. I mean, as much as possible because that's extremely important. And let's not act like our fathers don't matter. And let's also remember this also connects to little things like when you had Ebony magazine putting that picture up with that guy wearing all that pink, Jonathan Majors, big muscle bound black dude, got him looking like a little girl. Had the pink background. He got his lips pursed up like he's a bad bitch. And he's sitting there with the pink fur on, and it's I mean legs crossed like in a real feminine way. Like I can't, I'm talking about, like, how women cross their legs and their legs kind of flop over each other. I can't do that. I can't. My legs. I can't. I have to. When it hurts, my thighs are too big. I can't. It doesn't work, right? So I don't even know how men do that, honestly, to be honest with you. But really, that, like, so when you see those images, that is white liberal America saying we want you Negroes to stay in your place. Healthy families, that's for us. That's for white people. That's not for black people. Living in functional households, that's not for black people. You get the dysfunction, and we get to feel sorry for you. Having strong men and strong alpha men that you can look up to that will lead in situations of distress. Oh, that's for us. We're the alphas. You're the betas. Well, why is that? Why would Ebony magazine put a highly feminized picture on the cover of their magazine? And then you had the other issue with Vogue and all that stuff, which we'll talk about that later. Well, think about this. A truly masculine, intelligent black man who ain't scared of your white ass is the scariest thing that you've ever seen. That is the biggest threat to white supremacy that there is. A thug is not a threat. A thug is easy to control and contain. A thug is so brainwashed that he's going to eventually kill himself, and he's going to kill a bunch of black people with him. So a thug is your ally. You like the thug stuff. You market the thug culture all around the world. A thug is high, drunk, dysfunctional, misguided, lost, don't know what's going on, going to shoot himself in the ass, right? Going to shoot 3 or 4 black people, so he's going to kill them for you, right? So a thug does not scare you. What scares you is an intelligent black man who's very disciplined, who thinks like a soldier. What scares you is a black man who says, I don't look up to you at all. I see you as my equal. In fact, I think that there's some areas where I probably am ahead of you. The threat, the one that scares them. Think about this. I've never ever killed anybody. I don't walk up to white people and slap them in the face and punch them. I don't look to go cuss out any Caucasian within a 100-mile radius. I have many white friends. I'm very nice to white people, actually. When I meet them, as long as you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you back. So why in the world would somebody like me be seen as a threat? Do you understand? When I tried to go visit a brother in prison, his name was Mario Lloyd in Chicago. He got 14 life sentences with no parole. I was going to go see Mario in prison. Do you know that it took that prison, they Googled me. It took them a year before they allowed me to even visit him. Do y'all know that? Do y'all know that? Literally. So think about this. Why in the world would you be so scared of having me come and speak to a prison inmate? I ain't gonna hurt nobody. I ain't gonna bust them out of jail. I ain't gonna kill nobody. What I don't have a criminal record. What makes you afraid? Well, because they don't want black men around other black men who are going to encourage them to see their own power and their own potential. They don't want black men around black men who are going to tell them to wake up. That's the same reason they're afraid of black men listening to Farrakhan. Farrakhan, they ain't hurt nobody. Farrakhan ain't, you don't have no record of the Nation of Islam running around killing people and all this other stuff. How the hell does the Anti-Defamation League label Farrakhan dangerous when he's not a danger to anyone? Think about this. Well, where's the danger? It's right here. That's the danger. So when you show up and you are disciplined and you are smart and you are courageous, then at that point they know they can't stop you. They know that white supremacy jig ain't gonna work. They know, especially when you're independent, when you say, you know, I don't need your money, you keep your money. Right? Well, wait a minute. We're not used to that. We're used to Negroes begging. We're used to them showing up on their knees. We're used to black men being comedians and making us laugh. And you got to do something. Put on a dress or a wig or a clown nose. You know, that's why comedians do so well, right? You got to be funny, or you got to play a sport, or you got to rap or something. And you can point the violence at each other, but don't point it at us, because then we get, right? Well, it's, again, that's the issue. That's the threat. Right. So I would say to you that part of the reason that they took away so many of your strong men with incarceration and drugs and everything else is because that's how they can control you. If you want to go into a household and you want to get access to the children, imagine if you have an R. Kelly type person, these predators that are out in the communities, these Joe Biden type predators that want to get access to your children, they want to get access to your resources, want to get access to your family. If they're picking a house to go into, are they going to go into the house with the strong father who's standing there, gun cocked, who's completely aware and knows what the hell's going on, and physically strong, 6'5", 200 and something pounds, ready to whoop your ass if you touch his child? Or are they going to go in the house with the struggling single mom who's working a triple shift, and so her kids are unsupervised most of the time, and the daughter's feeling a self-esteem issue, so she's willing to get in the car with any guy who tells her that she's pretty and buys her a bag of Cheetos because she can't afford nothing, right? Think about this. It's easier to prey on a community when they have no fathers. That is my point. When a community loses its fathers and loses its men, you lose your protection, you lose your strength, you lose your ability to compete in the world of men. And anybody who disagrees with that, who really thinks that black women want to grow penises and get muscle bound and literally step up like dudes with big Adam's apples and pump iron and be 400 pounds and all this other, most black women I know don't want to do that. They don't want to do that. They want the men to show up as men. That's why when that Ebony magazine cover came up, did y'all know what I'm talking about, right? That cover, his name was Jonathan Majors, and he was on the cover of Ebony. I'm gonna find that picture. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done that. Make sure you subscribe. Also, my website is boycewatkins.com. So if you want to join us in Los Angeles in March for the Black Wealth Bootcamp, we'll be doing that for two days. So feel free to go to my website. You can check it out. All right. So let me see here. Let me see if I can find the image. Here we go. I'm gonna pull out this image here, and so we can see it. Actually, I'm going to pull up both of them. Actually, I got a side by side of the image with Rihanna and her husband, boyfriend, whatever he is, and also this guy Jonathan Majors. All right, so let me see here. Let me show you this. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. All right. There we go. All right. So here's that image, right? So you have this image, and if you look at this image closely, you'll see it's crazy, right? He's sitting here. This is a strong man, right? He's got muscles and everything, but he's got his legs kind of crossed in a real interesting kind of feminine way. He's got all this pink in the background. He's got this pink furry, whatever the hell that is, and his lips, his lips are like pursed, like I'm a bad bitch. I'm a bad bitch. I'm gonna twerk my ass off, right? And that image, and now, and what's happening is that black people were offended. A lot of black people were offended. A lot of women were offended. I asked my wife, because I'm always doing a toxic masculinity check. I'm like, I said, babe, what do you think about this picture? And she said, he's a handsome man, but that is not a good picture. She said, I would not want to be around a man like that in a romantic way. I would not like it if you took a picture like that. If you took a picture like that and you sent it to me, I'd probably tell you to not do that. And then this was the other one. This is Rihanna with her husband, boyfriend, what baby daddy, ASAP Rocky. Now, what's interesting about ASAP Rocky is if you recall, if you go back, remember ASAP Rocky was a guy who basically went out of his way to basically say, I don't care about the crap going on in the black community. I only care about my lean and and the drugs I'm on and the women and all this other stuff. So he came off as a clown to me many years ago. Maybe he's evolved. I don't know. I hope he has. But this image right here, this wasn't as bad as the bad bitch image on the left side. But this image with Rihanna and her man, I also, again, I test things with my wife because I listen to black women around me. So I kind of said, "What do you think about this?" I asked her, I said, "Would you want to take a picture like this with me?" She said, "No." She said he looks like he is her housewife. And so this is a difference in ideology, right? We know that there is sort of the whole feminist movement. And I'm not completely anti-feminist. I'm a complete believer in equality of women. I think women can do anything; they can do amazing things. But at the same time, what is happening is that in the white community, you have the promotion of a black on black gender war. You have them promoting the idea that in order for you to be powerful as a woman, your men must be weak. Well, the reason that that's a problem for you is because white folks ain't really doing that like that. White men are not weak in this country. White men are very powerful in this country. White men in general, on average, not every one of them, but many of them are able to pay the bills in a certain way. They're able to build these billion-dollar companies. They're building rocket ships to Mars, and so effectively, white people aren't really sort of living with the same conditions that we're living with. Right? You're in a condition where your community is in a state of emergency. You're constantly under attack. Your children are being shot by police. Your children are being shot by each other. Your kids are not being educated in school. Your economic security is constantly being under threat. You need your men. And the thing about it is that a lot of women get that. A lot of black, give me a yes in the chat if you're a black woman, you understand what I'm talking about. This is why this is not just me being, I'm sure people are going to say, oh, he's being a toxic male again because he's standing up here. No, I'm speaking for the women that I love who say, no, we need our men to show up as men. We don't want our men showing up as bad bitches and girly boys and everything else. We want them to have a side that where they can be nurturing and loving and everything else. And I work on all that. I work on all that, the empathy, all that stuff. I believe in those things. But at the same time, when it's time to go to war in certain situations, I know that I'm going to be a little bit better at fighting certain battles than my wife. Now, there's some situations where she might be the fighter. I like having a fighter next to me. I'm not intimidated by any of that. Right? I mean, she's 100% feminine, even when she's not so feminine, even when she's angry and assertive and everything else. I cheer that on. But at the same time, there's no mistake. There's never, ever any confusion about who the man of the relationship is. And that's not just my mandate, that's her mandate. She would not want me to show up as a woman in that relationship. And I really think that you got to be really careful about the fact that they put this bad bitch image up of this actor. They put this image up for the same reasons. Pay attention now. They promote this sort of imagery of the black male for the same reasons that white school teacher wants to put your little black son on Ritalin so that he'll sit down and shut up in class. Why? Well, because an assertive and intelligent and capable and fearless young black male is the scariest thing they have ever seen. They don't want a whole nation full of Nat Turners. They don't want a whole bunch of badass black men who don't give a damn, who ain't scared of nothing. You think they would go? Imagine if we had a whole nation of Boyce Watkinses. Imagine if there were 10 million little black boys who wanted to be just like me and said the things that I say and did the things that I do. That would drive them crazy. They'd have to kill us all. They would drop a nuclear warhead on our neighborhood and take us all out. So ultimately, the fear is when we have it up here. That's what they're afraid of. You know, so they try to control the boys when they're little. That's why I say you got to be real careful about what they do to your kids in the school system. When I was 5, my mama said that I went to kindergarten and there was a young white girl who was probably a true ally. I don't believe much in the whole ally thing, but I don't believe all white people are bad by any stretch. In fact, I know lots of wonderful people who are not black. And if you're one of the nice white people, then you're welcome here anytime. And this young white girl said to my mother, she said, "Your son baffles me." And she said, well, what do you mean by that? My mother was very young at the time. My mother was about 22 years old at the time, 23 years old. I remember when my parents were like 24. Crazy, right? And she said, I was teaching, and she said, your son has so much energy, and he just gets he will stand up, sit down, walk around, make noise, and do whatever. So she said, I said one day I'm gonna teach him a lesson. I'm gonna let him just do what he's gonna do. Then I'm gonna ask him questions. I'm gonna embarrass him. So she said I was getting up, jumping up, and running, running around the classroom, and she was just teaching along, and she ignored me. And then she said, okay, I'm gonna embarrass him. I'm gonna ask him to repeat everything that I just taught the other kids. And she said, do you know that your son Boyce repeated back to me every single thing that I had just taught them? That he was listening and picking it up while he was moving. And I still do that. My wife doesn't get it either, because sometimes I'll be doing 3 or 4 things, and but I'm hearing everything because my brain is just moving. I probably do have ADHD, no questions. And you know what this white lady said to my mama, and I thank her for this to this day. I don't know her, but I thank her. She said, when your son gets in the public school system, they're going to try to put him on medication. She said, do not allow your son to be put on those meds at an early age, because that will lead to drug problems later on in life. And my mother never ever, when they tried to put me on meds, my mother fought them tooth and nail. And I'm gonna tell you, if it hadn't been for her fighting for me in the school system and my father standing behind her, I would not be standing in front of you right now. I will be some docile little Negro with half the IQ that I have right now. Because I don't care what anybody says. I think that consistent use of drugs is destroying something very valuable in your system. If you don't have anything in this world as a black man, at least you got your mind. So when you get involved heavily with mind altering substance manufactured by your enemy, then don't be surprised when you walk around looking blind, deaf, dumb, and crazy, and making weird decisions and ending up in bad situations, because you can't tell me that the government has not consistently done little sneaky things to make sure that you always stay a couple steps behind. Right. I know how corporate America works. I know how capitalism works. Remember, I have a PhD in finance, so I know how these corporations will sell you. They will put anything in your body as long as it tastes good and can make them $1. They will put rat poison in your food, not directly. It won't be called rat poison. It'll be called, it'll be called compound number 12 or something. And you won't even know the effects until 20 or 30 years later, when suddenly, for some reason, everybody in your family has cancer, or dementia setting in, or everybody's got having strokes and high blood pressure and diabetes and all that. And we just think that's normal. We think that that's normal to get old and fat and sick and to die. We think it's normal for black men to die like at 45 years old. No, we were talking about, me and my wife were talking about, I'm just going in. I'm going, I hope that's okay. I hope it's all right for me to go a little bit Uncle Boyce here. But I was talking to my wife, and we were doing the Snoop Dogg song. And we were like, and you know that song, Hold Up, Wait. And I said, man, Nate Dogg was so talented. He has so many great hooks. But then I said, remember that part at the end of the song where he said, hey, 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 smoke weed every day. Anybody know how old Nate Dogg was when he died? Let me see. Let me Google it. How old was Nate Dogg? When he died? Let me see. Nate Dogg, RIP, was 41 years old. 41 years old. How many of y'all are older than the age of 41? Anybody older than the age of 41? If you're only like 31 or 21, you're going to think 41 is old. But when you get there, you're going to realize that you ain't that old. You got a lot of living to do. I've learned a lot since I was 41. Right? Yeah. You ain't supposed to be dead at 41 years old. And no disrespect though. RIP to him. Great, super talented guy. But then I think about Pimp C. I think about there was the one rapper, it was Extentation maybe, out of Chicago, who died from a drug overdose in the Midway Airport. I think about DMX. I remember DMX back in the 90s. I remember hearing him. They said, so he was on tour with my friend Damon Dash. Damon and I were buddies. We hung out a lot. We don't hang out as much now, but we used to hang out a whole lot. And it was fun hearing them talk about the Rockefeller days. And so Dame and DMX and Jay-Z were all on tour in the 1990s. And there was a point where they said, so DMX, what do you do while you on tour? And he said, nothing. He said, fuck all day. He said, no, smoke all day, fuck all night. And we were like in our 20s. And I remember thinking, man, that's not a healthy lifestyle. Like, you having sex with all those women, you're going to have a lot of diseases and a lot of kids. And when he died, he had a lot of children and some of those children didn't like him very much because they were not happy children. They had a terrible life, And then you saw DMX did not live very long because his habits that he had in his 20s led to consequences in his 30s and in his 40s. He probably threw away one of the greatest careers of all time. And so if you think that losing black wealth does not come down to decision making, then I'm here to tell you that you are sadly mistaken. DMX's family should be worth $1 billion. DMX, when he first came out, literally was the only artist in history, I believe, that had two number 1 albums in the same year. DMX could have become anything he wanted. He could have been beyond Jay-Z and Beyonce. But unfortunately, you get caught in the culture. You start making bad decisions. Next thing you know, you're in a bad situation. Well, let's go back to Deion Sanders. We start talking about Deion Sanders, 2-parent household, how that family structure makes a difference. Well, when I read DMX's bio and I went back to when he was a baby, because I read somewhere where he was crying when he was on his deathbed. Well, what happened to DMX as a child? Well, that poor guy, first of all, his daddy was never around, never existed pretty much. And his mama said, let's go. We going somewhere. And he said, well, where are we going? She said, we're going to go visit this place. And they went to visit the orphanage. And then his mother left him at the orphanage. And that, without any therapy, without any intervention, living in a world full of yes men and yes women who are going to let you do whatever you want because you're famous and you're rich, he never got the intervention he needed to become a healthy and whole enough human being to make the choices that were not going to cause him to throw away his opportunity. I could say the same thing about R. Kelly. R. Kelly, same thing. I don't think R. Kelly's father was around when he was a kid. And then R. Kelly also, again, unhealed, didn't go. And then this is why I'm telling you, if you went through some shit when you were a kid, if you went through trauma like I did, I went through a lot of trauma. I took a test. It's called the ACEs test, Adverse Childhood Experiences. I took this test. My trauma scale was very high because I did have some trauma as a kid. My biological father dealt with, was on drugs or whatever, went to prison, all that. My father that raised me also had to kick a drug habit, and he had some issues as well. He was a Vietnam veteran. Shout out to all the veterans in the room, by the way. Thank you for your service. And so I had to heal. And I'm telling you, if you haven't thought about things like therapy, I encourage you to look into that, because your ability to maximize your opportunities in life, whether it is the chance to run a solid business, build a strong family, or play quarterback at the University of Colorado, a lot of that's going to come down to whether or not you've healed well enough to be able to make smart, logical choices in the life that you have. And so going back to Deion's point about a 2-parent household, well, that's one factor that minimizes the likelihood that you're so screwed up and traumatized that you just made bad choices and ruin every opportunity that you have, throw away every chance you ever have at wealth. There's so many guys that could have went to the NBA and made $100 million, but never did because they were making these crazy choices because they were surrounded by other crazy people, other traumatized people, other unhealed people who were also making bad choices. So choices matter. Black choices matter. And so again, y'all know me, I might take it all the way around the block, but I always bring it back home. I'm bringing it back home to what Deion said. On this point, Deion, I agree with you 100%. Children are better off with both parents. Anybody who has not had a child yet, it should be your goal to properly vet anybody that you sleep with, anybody that you have children with, to make sure not just that they will be a good partner for you, but that they're going to be a good parent to their child. And also at that point, it is up to you. It is your responsibility to go and do what you need to do to be able to build a healthy relationship. To gain that ability to compromise, sit down with a damn therapist so you can mediate your differences, get over yourself, stop making everything about you. And at that point, it is about the family. At that point, the child's needs matter than your needs. At that point, what the family wants is more important than what you want. So if you can't adjust to that mindset, then it's going to be very difficult for you to ever build or own or control anything. You will never have wealth. You will probably never have prosperity, because in this world, you can't have that level of success doing everything by yourself. And you certainly can't get there if you're making a string of terrible choices that are easily corrected if you sit down with somebody that can help you heal. So that's my 2 cents for today. I hope that this was helpful. I know I got a little bit preachy in there, and I hope you can forgive me for that. I literally didn't even plan on talking more than 10 or 15 minutes, but I got into it. So I hope that somebody benefits from this conversation, and this is what's on my heart. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna get on out of here. Do me a favor, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is on Amazon. All the reviews are almost 5 stars, so I appreciate those of you who've left reviews. If you buy it on Amazon, please leave a review. Or if you buy it on my website, boycewatkins.com, you can also still leave a review on Amazon. Also, the Black Wealth Bootcamp is going to take place March 10th in Los Angeles. So if you'd like to fly in, go ahead and go to boycewatkins.com. The information is there. And some of you who've asked about advertising on this channel, I can give you a shout out for your Black-owned business. Just go to drboycefinance.com and you can purchase a shout out if you want to invest in the marketing for your company, whatever the case may be. So take care, guys. Have a good night. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clanting the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.